Evangelical vote is a major cornerstone for the Republican Party's support, but with millions of Christians sitting out on major elections, the Faith and Freedom Coalition is spearheading a faith-based grassroots engagement effort with the goal of reaching 18 million Christian voters by Election Day in key battleground states. The founder and chairman of the Faith and Freedom Coalition, Ralph Reed, is joining me right now. It's good to see you, sir. And estimates say between 20 to 40 million Christians didn't vote in 2020 and don't vote in general. I'm sure you've talked to these folks. Tell me, what are they telling you? Why aren't they voting their values?
Well, we have a lot of casual voters, a lot of low propensity voters. They tend to turn out in presidential elections, but not in midterms, for example. We call those drop-off voters. Then obviously we have the unregistered. We think it's much closer to the 20 million, by the way, than the 40 million. It kind of depends on how you ask the question, and it kind of depends on how you're defining what a Christian is or what an evangelical is. I mean, it's not an externally identifiable characteristic like gender or race or age. So it's a very subjective category if you don't ask it right. But we estimate that somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 million did not vote in the last election, about half of whom because they were not registered to vote, the other half of whom were registered but didn't vote. That's why right now we're knocking on an estimated 10 million doors in the battleground states, Chris. Through today, our canvassers, both our paid staff and our volunteers, we have about 5,000 paid staff, about 5,000 volunteers. They've knocked on 5,021,543 doors in the battleground states, and thereby reaching 8 and 9 million voters already. And we're hitting about 1 million doors a week. So we're on track to hit 10 million doors on Election Day. And when we get down to the end, we'll be delivering second and third door knocks to those low propensity voters who have voted in one or fewer of the last 3 elections. And I can tell you this right now, Chris, this is my 12th presidential election. I've advised 4 presidents. I can tell you none of this gets picked up by media polling. There's no way to pick up an inflated turnout and an ahistorical turnout from a group like this. Remember that they increased, for all these talks about the number who don't vote, they increased their raw numbers in the electorate by 12 million voters between 2016 and 2020. And we think it's going to increase another 5 to 8 million in 2024. This is the largest single constituency in the electorate.
I think it's a great statistic that you're telling me, and I'm glad you guys are doing this, but I'm sure you talk to the folks all the time. And I'm a Christian, and I vote. I always vote. So can you just give me the top answer when you ask, hey, why aren't you registered? Why aren't you out there, again, voting your values? What's the number one answer you get? Why are they not going to the voting booth?
They don't understand their Christian responsibility to be a citizen of both their heavenly kingdom and their earthly kingdom. They don't understand that the Bible teaches that you're a citizen not only of heaven, but you're a citizen of the United States, and you have a responsibility and a duty and an obligation. That's what they don't understand. They think it's about being a political activist or being a member of a party, or they might look at flaws in both Trump and Kamala and say, I'm not really excited about either one of them. You're going to get different answers. They think politics is dirty. They don't think any problems ultimately get solved. They just think it's about a battle between 2 parties. That's not what it's about. It's about a Christian having a responsibility as a citizen of the nation in which God has placed them to be an effective citizen and a witness where they are planted and where they live and where they reside. And that the Bible teaches in the Old Testament and the New Testament that citizenship is a godly responsibility. And the bottom line is, Chris, is aren't really teaching that. And so a lot of these people don't know that.
Well, Mr. Reed, there's a lot of evil out there, and you and I both know we're enjoined by Christ Jesus to oppose evil wherever we find it. So I'm hoping a lot of these Christians, whichever numbers you believe, 20 to 40 million, come off the sidelines and, as I said, start voting those values. Ralph Reed, thank you very much. Appreciate your time here on the Chris Salcedo Show.